Hey guys, welcome to Launch and Scale. If you are listening on the podcast, this is episode number 10. And if you are on YouTube, awesome. Please do hit subscribe for weekly content and tips for bringing products to market. And I have a special guest today. I'm actually pretty excited to talk to one of the world's best, if not the world's best product licensing master on the market, Stephen Key. Product licensing has just been a really hot topic. It's been something that I've followed for the last 4 years. It's been something that I get an email or two once a week from. And so I'm excited to actually have a conversation with someone about how to actually do licensing, or even if that's the right route to market. Because I find that when you have a product online, or even you're getting into products, you may be overwhelmed by how many routes to market there are. And so this is just one avenue I want to explore today. And so, Stephen, I'm really, really excited to have a conversation with you today.
Well, thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here.
I was admiring your wall before. So could you walk me through what's going on with that? I love it.
Well, I've been in this business for a few years, and I had all my products that I had licensed over the years in boxes. I finally figured I should probably take them out. And so I built this wall, and I put some of the products that I've licensed and some of my students have licensed as well. So it's a pretty big wall. It doesn't show all of it, but it's fairly large, and it's kind of a nice backdrop. It looks interesting, so I like it.
I love it. And so guys, if you're not familiar with Stephen Key and his work, he's the owner of over 20 patents, and he helps people all around the world bring products or get products successfully licensed. And so with that being said, I'd love to start by, Stephen, can you give me a bit of a background on how you got into what you're doing, how you got into Inventor and everything?
Now, well, it's interesting looking back. I was a student at Santa Clara University, and I was taking business, and I didn't like it at all. So I took an art class by mistake, and I found that I really loved to work with my hands. I wanted to be creative, and I went home. I told my dad, I said I wanted to be an artist, and he said, "Well, Steve, do you draw?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Well, you must like to paint." I said, "No." So he gave me permission to do something crazy. He said, "Look, if you find something you truly love to do, you'll never work a day in your life." So I transferred over to another school and started studying art. And I realized very quickly I wasn't going to be this great artist. But I wanted to combine business with art. And so I started making things and selling my creations at street fairs, county fairs, for about 7 years, and everybody thought I was the biggest loser on the planet. I loved it because I was able to meet some wonderful people, but I learned one special thing that has changed my whole career. I wanted to be creative, but I needed to test my ideas very quickly to see if they were marketable, because I think people can spend a lot of time building prototypes, filing patents, doing all this work, starting a business, and then maybe they don't even have a marketable product. And that's what I learned, selling my products on the streets, basically, that if I couldn't find something that would sell, I wasn't going to be able to pay the rent. So I'm a no-risk entrepreneur. That's what I am. I want to test my ideas very, very quickly to see if they're marketable, but I don't want to start a business. I want to find a company that's already in business, that already has the distribution, the marketing, they have all the relationships with the retailers. So if I show them one of my ideas and they like it, they can bring it to market extremely fast, because today it's all about speed. So that's what licensing is called. It's basically renting an idea to a company. They're going to pay you a royalty on each and every one they sell on the wholesale price. Well, you can still be creative and come up with a lot of ideas and let them do all the heavy work. And that's what I've done my whole career with some of the products you see back here that I licensed and collected royalties. And now for the last 20 years, I've been teaching other people to also bring their creativity to market without starting a business.
What was the first product you got licensed of your own?
Well, they were really stuffed. I guess they were plush. They were just stuffed characters. And I would do a sketch and I sent it to a company and they liked the way these little puppets looked and they licensed it from me. And I stayed in that category, the novelty gift category, for about 4 or 5 years and licensed probably tons of stuff. But they were whimsical. They were nothing serious. They were just fun things. But the one product that actually started producing a lot of income was called the Michael Jordan wall ball. And I don't know if you can see it on the shelf. I think it's right behind me here.
Oh, yes.
And it was really, you know what was great about it? It was just a simple, I love playing basketball, but all the basketball backboards, indoor or even outdoor, are square. So all I did was take a picture of Michael Jordan, put it on the back, and cut it out to the shape of Michael Jordan. Such a simple idea. I showed this to a toy company. They licensed it from me, and it sold for over 10 years. I collected royalties on a prototype that probably cost $10. And it had its own little commercial on TV. And they did some other characters in different sizes. But it was so much fun to do that. And after that happened, I was hooked. Because they were doing all the work and they were sending me royalty checks every quarter for 10 years. And the first year, I think, was about $100,000 in royalties.
Wow.
Yeah,
so I have, I think part of what makes me good at interviewing on topics I know very little about is the fact that I'll have the same questions as many of my audience that does. Very novice, very new misunderstanding of how licensing works. Okay. So when I think of product licensing, my first real touch with it was we launched a crowdfunding campaign for a fitness thing. It was like a travel trainer. It was a compact fitness accessory, and everything looked great from a product side, but the campaign failed because people didn't want to wait 6 to 8 months to get the product. Okay. So it's a great product, but they didn't want to wait because if you're buying a fitness product, people want it now, right? But off that failure, the founder got a licensing deal.
Okay.
And so I thought, okay, great. So the best time to try to license something is after you get your idea out there and you show some proof of a little bit of traction, or maybe it's before a campaign. So like when I look into what stage someone should be ready to license something, like what is the best time to do that in a product?
Yeah, that's a great question because the company I co-founded now called Inventor, we have students in over 60 different countries. And we see a signed licensing deal every week now for the last year and a half. So we see a volume of products that get licensed. Yep. And they get licensed at all different stages. But it's not what people think. Everybody thinks you need a patent. I would say 90% of all the products that get licensed, there's no patent. I would say probably 50% of all the products that gets licensed, there's not even a prototype. That really shocks people. When you license an idea, you're really presenting the benefit of the idea, not so much the idea. So when you think of it that way, it simplifies it. So you don't need a patent. Sometimes you don't need a prototype. So what do you need? You need a 1-page advertisement of your product. And you could have someone create your idea. It could be just a sketch on a napkin, but now with 3D computer generated graphics, I can take an idea that's really rough and this artist can bring it to life in 3D. I don't even have to build a prototype to see if it has legs. So it's a 1-page advertisement. It has a 1-line benefit statement at the top. What are you doing for me? What is that one benefit that's emotional? It's really that one thing that your product is going to do. And then have a picture of it. And that's what we're teaching people. Show that to a company that wants to work with us, that wants to work with inventors and product developers, that they're open to product submissions. So you sell the benefit first. If you cannot sell the benefit first, why even bother building a prototype? Why even bother putting it on a crowdfunding site? Why even bother? And that way you can come up with a lot of ideas and spend very little money to test. And that comes back to when I mentioned creating things when I was selling them at street fairs. You have to test quickly. So with this type of method, this type of strategy, if you're an idea person, you can test your ideas without spending a lot of money very quickly. So it's so getting back to your question, I think it depends. Now, some ideas are a little bit more complex, and companies, if they do like your sell sheet, that one-page advertisement, they're going to ask for a prototype, proof of concept. Then maybe you build one. See, that's what I'm telling everybody. You don't want to build a prototype for every idea you have. It will drive you crazy. You don't want to file intellectual property for every idea you have. You'll go broke. So use these really simple tools. So it's usually at the very beginning that we see students licensing ideas with only a sell sheet and nothing more. Yeah.
So when you say test quick, like go back to your days when you were selling in person at fairs, and you could see very quickly whether your idea has marketability based on whether you get a certain amount of interest and a certain amount of buyers, right? But how do you test ideas quickly when you're not even developing a prototype? You're just going with your best idea, putting a sell sheet together, and right?
Yeah, this is what you do. The first step is that you want to find, let's say you have an idea, okay, and go down to the store, if it's a Walmart or Target, wherever, go down and find that exact aisle that your product is going to sell. Walk down and find that aisle. Even ask the manager, hey, I've got this idea, something like this. Where would this sell? Once you find that aisle, all those companies that are on that aisle are going to be your potential licensees. So that's how you identify the companies you want to submit it to that are similar on that particular aisle. Then once you make a list, take a picture, go on the internet, make a list of 20 companies that you're going to reach out to. First, reach out to them and ask them if they're inventor friendly. Ask them if they have embraced open innovation, that they're looking for ideas from people like us. That's the best way to protect an idea, to make sure they're embracing us creative people. If they are, perfect. Then you want to put together that one-page sell sheet. It's very, very simple. And you could probably have that done for maybe $100. That's how easy it is. But before you send it off, I would highly recommend, not in every situation, but in most situations in some industries, file a provisional patent application. It's called a PPA. And you can file it yourself. You don't have to have a patent attorney file it. And you can learn a lot about a provisional patent applications or software. We have a program that people purchase to that walks you through the steps. So you get patent pending, that gives you perceived ownership. You find a company that's looking for ideas, and you show them your sell sheet. It's that simple. And then reach out to those 20 companies and reach out through LinkedIn. It's the best way now. Go to LinkedIn, find the company, reach out to someone in marketing or someone in sales. Don't pitch. Don't do that. Just tell them, I'm a product developer. I think I've got a great idea for your company. What is your process? Who could I speak with? Let them direct you to the right department. Let them tell you the right person. Then once you get that right person at that company, hey, I'm a product developer. I've got a great idea. Can I show it to you? It's very simple. The thing I like about licensing, it levels the playing field for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're 18 or 82. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter your income. It doesn't matter your gender, your race. Everybody can do this. And that's why I love it so much. And that's why we see a full range of ideas that get licensed. We've seen things that are very complicated. Things are very simple. Yeah, so it's not difficult. And I outline those steps in a book called One Simple Idea. And I think you can see that, I think, up on the shelf from McGraw-Hill.
I'm going to link to that in the show notes as well on Amazon. When do you recommend licensing be a good avenue for an entrepreneur?
I think it's the only avenue. And that's terrifying to say that.
Not biased at all.
Well, I'll tell you the reason why. I've done both. I've ventured. I had a musical accessory business where we sold these little guitar picks in the shapes of skulls and vampires. And I was a Disney licensee and I was a Taylor Swift licensee. And we sold our guitar picks in probably 10,000 stores around the world. We're in Walmart, 7-Eleven. And it took a lot of money, more money than people, for like a two-cent piece of plastic. People didn't realize how much money it took. When we received that first Walmart order, it was $500,000. People have no idea how to scale. They have no idea how to do the financials. So I know both sides of the coin, but I'm here to say today the new business model is licensing. And I'll tell you the reason why. If you have a good idea, you're going to get copied. Mm-hmm. Guaranteed. In fact, if you do a Kickstarter campaign and you raise a little bit of money, before you even start, it will be shipping and selling on Amazon in 3 weeks. So how do you compete with that? Right? So I say the best protection today is that you license to a company that already has the shelf space, and that way you can get your product idea out there fast. And it's just a good partner. Yeah. It's a partner that's has maybe some of the stuff that you don't have. But I tell everybody, today it's all about speed. Yeah.
I know you mentioned, if you want to say this or not, but let's just say certain people in the industry, certain companies in the industry are not wanting to admit what's going on in the crowdfunding space right now with products being knocked off. I remember there was this really cool dog chew toy thing that was an Indiegogo campaign that raised about $300,000. And I saw it, didn't buy it on Indiegogo, but about a month later on Instagram, I saw this thing and I was like, great, it's the dog chew thing. Yeah. So I bought it. And it turns out it wasn't even the company that had crowdfunded it. It was one of the Chinese knockoffs, or not necessarily China, but like it was some company that had quickly ripped that idea and started selling it, parading as them. So what are the, like, your thoughts on crowdfunding now? If ideas can get ripped off so easily, like.
Yeah. Thank you. I love crowdfunding, but I would use it differently. You see, I think everybody thinks it's a money problem when they have an idea. And they think that if I go in crowdfunding, I can test the market, I can raise funds, and those funds I can use to get in production, right? But they don't know it's not a money issue, it's a knowledge issue. See, and really, how do you take an idea, bring it to market? It takes a lot more than just money. It takes experience. It takes time. It takes relationships. It takes a lot of things. So I think people are fooled if they think that I'm going to put this idea and I'm going to raise money and then I'm going to bring it to market. I think they're fooling themselves. Yes, it does happen. I think that there's a lot of companies that do raise money that never end up shipping. Okay, so, and if you have a hot idea and you raise that much money, everybody's watching. To me, the exposure is way too great. And if you ask people, how do you protect it? They'll tell you, protect it the traditional ways. File a patent or a trademark and try to get this ownership of it. And I'm here to tell everybody, you cannot own anything anymore. I give this example. Apple, biggest company in the world, they cannot stop the knockoffs. And they've got thousands of patents and probably hundreds of patent attorneys. And so why do you think we can? And people, I know how people feel about it. They get upset about it. It's not fair. It's not right. But business is extremely competitive, and even patents are just words that can be interpreted by patent examiners, judges, and jury. So if you want to participate, and I think you should, don't look at it from a legal perspective. Look at it from a business perspective. What is my best way of doing this? And there are some really inexpensive tools to protect yourself. But the way I would use crowdfunding, not as a source to raise money, because it's not a money problem. I would use crowdfunding as a source to ship my product fast, to be ready to manufacture, to be ready, to use that platform to sell more product. That's how I would use it. But I think people are fooled that I'm going to put it up there. And even now today, those crowdfunding campaigns take a lot of money to be successful now. It's very crowded. It's hard to find your audience. So it's changed. But no, the dirty little secret, most people don't want to talk about the exposure. So I think if I was going to do a crowdfunding campaign, number one, the 3 tools that you need is definitely a trademark, because they will copy your name exactly.
Yep.
The second thing would be a copyright of all your photography, all your pictures, because they will take your pictures on your crowdfunding and use those exact photographs. So you can copyright that, and that's very inexpensive to do. Those 2 tools allow you to stop online sellers, right? Because what they're going to do when they do copy you, they're going to copy you exactly. So a copyright and a trademark allows you to go to the online sellers and show that you own those 2 things. It takes about 10 months to get ownership.
Yep.
And that can stop them. So you have to be prepared. I also think that if you're going to launch, be the original. Tell your story. Humanize it. I think that's your best fight. I don't think you fight in court. In fact, I don't even think you can get to court anymore. I think where you want to fight is on social media. Get your brand out there. Be the original. Tell your story. And have your audience shame the knockoffs. Okay. Have your audience give them bad reviews. Have your audience come to your rescue, because now you have a voice.
We had, is when I read up on your it was one of your articles on Entrepreneur about before you launch your business here, make sure you have a safety net. Here are 13. Yeah. I saw how you brought to market a guitar pick, and I was like, I don't know if you've heard of Jamstack. It's the guitar amplifier that connects to anyway, it's a guitar hardware product. And we raised about $350K on Indiegogo. And it was great. We did the branding, we did the audience building, but right when we were about to do an official market launch on Shopify, we had a knockoff. And a couple of our customers were like, hey guys, there's this Jamstack knockoff selling your Jamstack for $50 versus the 200 and some we were charging for it. And it was just really fascinating to see how our community really helped us get those guys pulled off Facebook, and how they just told us, and they were there for us because we had built up that trust and that loyalty through them.
Yeah, no, it's the way to fight today. And most people are anti-big company, right? They want a story. They want to relate to the person and the product, and I think they're going to support that. The guys that are going to copy you, it's going to hurt your brand. I mean, it's going to be most likely an inferior product. So you have to fight back, and the way you fight back is through the marketplace, not through trying to sue somebody. That's ridiculous these days, because the laws have changed and it's almost impossible now. So if you have a smart strategy from IP, trademark, copyright, maybe even a design patent, and then tell your story and be the original and have your audience chase them down. And then I would also contact all the retailers and tell them your story too, because they might carry the bricks and mortar. They might carry the Me Too or the copycat, but once they know you're the original, they don't want the bad publicity either. Everybody's running from the bad reviews. All the companies are very concerned about their image. So we have power now, and we need to use it. Yeah, as a collective community to protect each other. Yeah.
So one thing I'd love, because I don't really know the answer to this. So how would you use licensing with a Kickstarter campaign, or is there any way to work with them together?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to realize you have a lot of exposure when you're on a Kickstarter campaign or a crowdfunding campaign. You just do. I would probably not try to raise a lot of money. I'd kind of want to be under the radar a little bit. So yeah, kind of. And I know that people want as much money, but I don't know if that's a flag, right? I mean, they're watching. If you hit X amount, they know they have a hit. So I would try to structure it where it's successful, but not to the degree of sounding the alarm that you've got a hit on your hands. And then I would probably reach out to companies before I launch and say, look, I've got this idea, and make sure you've got some manufacturing knowledge ahead. Make sure you're pretty close, you understand all that, and reach out to a potential licensee and say, look, I'm going to run a crowdfunding campaign. I want you to watch me, and I'm going to show you how much interest there is. Because what you're doing is taking away risk, right? And if you can prove, have people order it, that takes away risk. You have proof of demand. If you do that, you'll get a licensing deal in a heartbeat. So there's a way to do it, but you have to be careful.
Now, scoping licensing deals and getting the best deal with someone, because you have a company that will fund manufacturing, marketing, costs, and all that to bring your product to market. Is there an advantage to, I guess, will you get a better deal when you're person A that goes with a sell sheet and a prototype versus person B that's gone and raised $100,000 on Kickstarter? Like, do you get better terms because you prove that market?
Of course. Okay. The more risk you take away, the better deal you'll get. It's really simple, right? So if you've gone ahead and built the product and sold some of them, of course, right? I mean, you made it easier for them to make a decision. So of course, that's the number one thing to get a deal and get a best deal is show the demand. Yes.
Okay. Cool. I feel like this is, okay. So if I have a product and I get Disney to license it, am I bound to exclusivity through Disney, or can I have multiple licensees for a product?
Well, that's a good question. You can have multiple licenses. It depends on your product. Let's say I have a product that I have a rotating. Let me grab one of these and I'll show you real quick.
Okay, cool.
One of my products, I think you can see here, it's a rotating label. It's just this one's on water. And you spin the label and it gives you more information.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. It's a delivery system, right? And I was able to license this to companies in the water, but also it was on vitamins, it was on coffee, it was on toys. So I was able to get a license in all those different categories. So I was able to carve out different areas for people to license. The trick is you don't want them to overlap, right? So if you have an idea that maybe you can use as a commercial application, maybe in the construction business, but that same idea could be used for maybe for the home. So I could license it to two industries. I might have an idea that's great for hospitality, for all the hotels, and that same idea I might be able to license to someone for their personal use. So I could do two different licenses. You just don't want them to overlap in the marketplace. Yeah.
Understood. What is the biggest mistake people make when licensing a product?
Well, I think the biggest mistake they make is they rush. They're going too quick. What we're seeing, once people learn about licensing and how easy it is, they're sending ideas. I think they're sending their product ideas to companies that are not a good fit. They're casting such a wide net. They're so excited that maybe if I show this company this, they might be interested. They're not really looking at the company's mission statement. They're not looking at their product mix. They're not looking at the materials, the price point. Because if you send your idea to a company and they don't take it, you kind of wasted their time and wasted your time. So I think the biggest mistake people are making, in fact, I'm writing a new book just on this, how to really present your idea correctly and how to make sure you get it to the right company so you don't waste their time. Those top executives, you got to respect their time and just don't throw everything up against the wall to see if it sticks. That's not a great approach. But product developers, inventors, are so excited about the opportunity. Once they get a connection, once they get an email, they just want to rush in and show it, and they're only thinking about themselves. You have to think about the company too. So I want everybody to slow it down and do a better job, so you don't waste their time or yours. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like going back to what you were saying at the beginning of this conversation, where you want to find the relevant retailers by going to the aisle you see your product placed in. And then by default, you're narrowing the funnel to companies that fit the scope of what you're most likely going to be like the best fit in, right?
Yeah, I'll give you a great example. I was making guitar picks, and I came up with another idea, lifestyle guitar picks. And I thought, well, why not lifestyle drumsticks? They're only 10 feet away in the store. And when we started to look at the supply chain to manufacture it, and we realized, well, it's different manufacturing, it's different buyers, it's different customers. It's like a whole nother business. It made no sense. So you have to realize that if you think you have an idea, make sure it's a really good fit, that they can take it and put it right into their product line. Don't show them, hey, you should do this over here. You're asking for too much work. It's too much risk. They just won't do it. So make sure it's a good fit. The other mistake, I think, is people don't understand the language a little bit. They get once they start asking questions, people don't know how to answer them because they've kind of rushed in a little bit. It basically comes down, do your homework, be a professional, and educate yourself. Like this podcast and the video, you have to educate yourself, and that's what you're doing to your audience, right? Giving them steps. Don't just rush in there. Don't make the mistakes. You don't have to. You're going to make a few, of course, but limit the number of mistakes.
Not to mention, it is sales 101 when you think about it. If you go to the wrong company, it means your pitch is wrong, which means you may have just burned a connection, right? Or you're going to have to knock on 5 or 10 times the amount of doors because you weren't specific. You're casting such a wide net that it's not a fit, right? And I'm, for people that I've seen that are very interested in licensing, they're people like you that have multiple product ideas. So if you get licensing deal for product number one, I'm assuming that's a relationship that you want to manage with that licensee, so you have the potential for opening more doors for future product, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I think what we're seeing, one of the big mistakes a lot of people make is that they come up with a lot of different ideas in different categories. And so they're just kind of throwing it out to different categories, and they're not spending enough time in one particular industry to really understand it. And once you stay in one industry long enough, you know all the players. They know you now, and you really know where it's going, right? Mm-hmm. You're studying it. So you're. I'm sorry. Is that me or is that you?
It's okay. That's you.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's only one distraction, so we're doing okay.
Let me see if I can. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Can you hear me still?
I can, yeah.
Okay. I think if you stay in, here's the formula for success if you want to license. Don't just come up with an idea and try to fit it into the market, right? Most people do that. I have a problem. I think a lot of people have the problem. I'm just going to try to find a place to fit it in. That's one way. But why not target your creativity? Look at a company, find an industry that you're very passionate about, first of all, and that you know a little bit about because you love it. And then look at the company's website, look at their products, and imagine what are they going to do next? And then try to create for them. You're really targeting and funneling your creativity, and you're looking at it and go, okay, because I know those in-house designers are not happy. They're getting a paycheck. They're not working on their own stuff. They want to leave at 5:00. But for us, the ability to collect royalties, the ability to be associated with the product, that's all about creation. That's what we love to. So you can out-design the guys on inside. Just realize that. So look at their product line and go, what are they going to do next? I just have to outthink them. And then when you start to study it, send them ideas, send them small improvements on their existing ideas. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Small improvements on their existing ideas. That's the easiest way. And then keep on sending them ideas. This is what's going to happen. You're going to get rejected. Fantastic. Now you're in the game. Once you come back with another idea, that's when you become a pro. And build a relationships. And what happens when you start to invest your time with them, they will start to invest their time with you. And they will start to tell you what they're looking for. And now you have a target to hit. So we have students that have licensed, they'll stay in one industry and they license, 20, 30 ideas. Yeah. But if you jump around, you'll never build the relationships. There you go.
You'll be a generalist versus a specialist.
You got it.
Yeah. Awesome. I like to ask this question last. Is there anything else I should have asked you that I haven't?
No, those are really great questions. I think you have to realize, what do you want to do with your time? And if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to want to do all of it. You want to do, it's like the basketball player that takes the last shot. You want to make all the decisions. You want to worry about the finances. You want to worry about the packaging, the fulfillment. You want to do it all. But if you're a creative person and you want to be creative, maybe licensing is a better fit for you. You will not control it all. You'll not make the final decisions. But you can leverage the power of these companies to bring your creativity to market fast. And the standard royalty rate, or the average, is about 5%. And a lot of people are like, well, 5% doesn't sound like much. Well, if you look at the profit margin of a typical company, it's not as much as you think it is. We had one company come on, they tell us we're lucky at 10% at the end of the day. So if you're not taking any risk and they're doing all the work and you're getting 5%, it makes a lot of sense.
It really does.
Yeah. So it depends on what do you want to do with your time? I mean, how many businesses can you start in your career? But how many ideas can you come up with other people can bring to the market for you? So you got to figure out what type of, what's your, what do you like to do? And if you like to be creative, licensing, I think it might be an option. Yeah.
I love that. And for more information, I understand you have a YouTube channel with quite a bit of great content. Where should people go if they want to learn more about your work and working with you in Inventor?
First of all, I have to say this one story. One of my early students was Tim Ferriss, that wrote the 4-Hour Work Week. Oh, yeah. And he was one of my, he's a pretty popular guy, and he wrote about me in the 4-Hour Work Week. But he also told me he gave me some great advice. He said, look, Steve, if you really want to be an expert, give everything away. So we have a YouTube channel called Inventor TV. There's over 400 videos. We give it all away. So if you really, and Tim was right about that, because if you're really serious about this and you really want to help people, help them. And if they want more, you're there, and you probably have other things that they might want. So the YouTube channel, Inventor TV, 400 videos, absolutely free, 10 minutes long. We do 2 or 3 every week. Watch them. You'll love them.
I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. I was curious about your process with that, because that's quite a bit of content to put out. So,
well, we also write for Forbes, Inc. and Entrepreneur, and we believe in organic marketing. We don't run ads, and we think that you cannot give enough away. So we have a lot of content to deliver, and it never gets. People ask, "Do you ever run out of content?" Never. Because things are changing so fast, you have to stay on top of it. Yeah. Right. And there's a great book by Seth Godin, This is Marketing. And he's right in his assessment that if you provide good products and good service to people, you never have to sell. And he's absolutely 100% right.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love Seth's work.
yeah, I do too. In fact, early on, I got to meet him, and he looked at my website, and he just was very brutally honest. He says, it's awful. It was really kind of funny. And he was right. We changed our whole marketing strategy by one phone call I had with him.
Jeez.
Yeah. He said, you don't have to sell. Stop selling. Don't sell. Deliver good content. Yeah, he was right.
Sells itself.
Yeah. And so I think for any entrepreneur, you need to stay current, and you need to read some of the guys that are really on top of it. And he's definitely one.
Awesome. Great. Well, this has been a really educational and just fantastic conversation. So thank you for helping me put this together.
Well, thank you for having me on. And if I can ever help your audience, please invite me back. All right.
I will. I know people have been asking about you for a long time. So I'll be like, let's do a part 2 on next topic.
Love it. Thank you very much.
So you're welcome. All right.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed what content we are putting out. If you did like this video, please do like it using the button below this. It lets me know what content you like and want to see more of. As well, if you want to never miss another video, hit the subscribe button. Apart from that, all links and resources mentioned in this interview are available in the description below. So anyway, take care. We'll see you next time.